do know that.
Okay. Do you apologize for your disgusting comparison of ICE to the Gestapo, who killed hundreds of thousands of Jews during the Holocaust?
As a history teacher,
Yes or no is the question.
a historical
You're a
comparison.
governor. You understand what the question is. It's yes or no. Will you apologize for what you said about ICE, comparing them to
ICE to
Gestapo?
identify who they are when they operate, to not use unmarked.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, this governor, or honorable, can't answer the question. Do you believe the Nuremberg trials were a good exercise in holding the Nazis accountable? Yes or no?
I think due process.
Okay,
is
so
always the
are you calling for ICE agents to be brought to a tribunal under the threat of death by comparing them to the Gestapo?
Everyone is afforded due process.
What don't you understand about yes or no? Like, what can't you comprehend about yes or no questions?
I
Do you
understand
still want
being
to
a governor
abolish
is a
ICE?
different
Do you
job.
still want to abolish ICE? Yes or no?
That I wanted to abolish ICE.
Didn't you march in a rally calling for ICE's abolishment?
Not that I can recall, Congressman.
Well, according to widespread media reports, you did.
And the media is always correct.
How do you rate Kamala?
Welcome back, patriots, to American Mindset, where we expose the truth, defend American values, and call out the nonsense that's destroying our country. Today, we're diving into one of the most absurd and infuriating spectacles I've seen in a long time. I just watched what can only be described as a complete embarrassment during the so-called unofficial 2028 Democrat presidential primary. And yes, I'm talking about the Oversight Committee hearing featuring none other than Governor Walz and his fellow Democrat elites. Let's watch the video.
Chairman, welcome to the unofficial 2028 Democrat presidential primary right here on stage at the Oversight Committee. Governor Newsom must be seething. The three of you beat him to the stage, but he's a little busy right now defending illegals and defending Antifa, torching what is left of Los Angeles. Governor Walz knows the playbook. In 2020, he rolled out the red carpet for anarchists while Minnesotans watched their neighborhoods burn. You've turned your states into sanctuaries for illegals. You've done more to shield MS-13 than to protect the single mom working 2 jobs in Chicago, Queens, or Minneapolis. And you've worked harder against ICE than with them. So Governor Walz, and boy, does that feel nice to say the word governor, my first question is for you. Did you know the Nazis killed 6 million Jews during the Holocaust? It's a yes or no question. Did you know the Nazis killed 6 million Jews during the Holocaust?
Pushing my button down.
Okay.
Yes, I believe that's historic.
Okay, would you agree the Holocaust is the most horrific atrocity in human history? Yes or no?
I think the Holocaust ranks amongst them, yes.
Did you know the Nazi Gestapo imprisoned, tortured, and murdered Jews by the hundreds of thousands and committed genocide against the Jews? Did you know that?
I do know they operated as secret.
Did you know ICE has done none of that? Yes or no?
Operated as a secret police force?
No, that's not the question. Did you know that ICE has not committed genocide against anyone?
Yes, I do know that.
Okay. Do you apologize for your disgusting comparison of ICE to the Gestapo, who killed hundreds of thousands of Jews during the Holocaust?
As a history teacher,
Yes or no is the question.
a historical
You're a
comparison.
governor. You understand what the question is. It's yes or no. Will you apologize for what you said about ICE, comparing them to
I would ask ICE to
Gestapo?
identify who they are when they operate, to not use unmarked.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, this governor, or honorable, can't answer the question. Do you believe the Nuremberg trials were a good exercise in holding the Nazis accountable? Yes or no?
I think due process.
Okay,
is
so
always the
are you calling for ICE agents to be brought to a tribunal under the threat of death by comparing them to the Gestapo?
Everyone is afforded due process.
What don't you understand about yes or no? Like, what can't you comprehend about yes or no questions?
I
Do you
understand
still want
being
to
a governor
abolish
is a
ICE?
different
Do you
job.
still want to abolish ICE? Yes or no?
That I wanted to abolish ICE.
Didn't you march in a rally calling for ICE's abolishment?
Not that I can recall, Congressman.
Well, according to widespread media reports, you did.
And the media is always correct.
How do you
and
rate Kamala Harris's job as border czar? I want a number between 1 and 10. How was she as border czar?
I wouldn't have a way to measure that. I was not in the administration.
Weren't you her running mate for vice president?
As in the campaign.
And you
wasn't part of
can't
the
rate her role as border czar on a scale of 1 to 10. Was she great at 10 or was she a 1? Terrible.
I think her proposal that she put forward to make sure we had the bipartisan immigration.
It wasn't bipartisan. Did you ever personally speak with Kamala about Joe Biden's cognitive collapse?
Not that I can recall, Congressman.
Not as her running mate for vice president. You never once talked to her about the president and why she was nominated instead of him.
No, not that I can recall.
What kind of operation were you guys running over there?
I was more concerned with Donald Trump's cognitive decline.
Thank God he's
things that we were-
he's president and J.D. Vance is vice president and not you. Have you ever served in a combat zone, Governor?
I have not, Congresswoman.
Okay. Are you still friends with school shooters?
I have never been a friend with a school shooter.
Didn't you say you were friends with school shooters on the debate stage?
Oh, Congresswoman.
Yeah,
I
is
think that's very
bullying
evident.
is
As a teacher and a
bullying
parent.
is my mom was a teacher. I'm a high school dropout. We can talk about that later. Is bullying okay?
Is bullying okay as a teacher?
Is bullying okay? Yes or no? Is it okay to bully somebody?
I think
yes
there's
or
a
no?
time to push back at a bully. So yes, I do think there's a time.
So you think it's okay to bully others?
I think it's okay to bully the bully at times.
Well, you're showing that the Democrat Party is a party of violence. Were you at Tiananmen Square?
Have I been to Tiananmen Square? I have.
Were you at Tiananmen Square?
I have been at Tiananmen Square.
When were you there?
Oh, as I recall, January of 1990.
Okay. What is a woman? What is a woman is the question.
I'm not sure I understand the question here.
Well, that.
What
Okay.
what do you want me to say? This is
I want you to say that a woman like me is an adult human female, that men can't become women. You guys are the party of violence, and you're the party erasing women. You don't respect us. You're a bigot. You're a misogynist. You're a sexist. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Congresswoman.
Good lady,
thank-
Mr.
back.
Chairman,
She
I would ask
recognizes Mr.
unanimous
Ocasio
consent.
Cortez.
Let me tell you, folks, if this is the best the left has to offer for 2028, we should all be thanking God Almighty that Donald Trump and J.D. Vance are running the show right now. Because these people, they are as clueless as they are dangerous. Buckle up, patriots, because we're about to break this train wreck down. Let's start with the opening. The congressman didn't pull any punches, calling this an unofficial Democrat primary. And you know what? He's right. These hearings are a spotlight on the left's agenda. Open borders, coddling criminals, demonizing law enforcement, and pretending their policies aren't turning our cities into war zones. The congressman calls out Governor Walz for rolling out the red carpet to anarchists while his state burned to the ground in 2020. And let's not forget how these Democrat governors turned their states into sanctuaries. Not for hardworking Americans who need protection, but for illegals and MS-13 thugs. That's the left's priorities, folks. They'd rather shield criminals than defend single moms working 2 jobs in Chicago or Minneapolis. Now here's where it gets really wild. The congressman asked Governor Walz some very basic questions. Questions that a history teacher, let alone a state governor, should be able to answer without hesitation. Did the Nazis kill 6 million Jews? Yes or no? Pretty simple, right? But Walz struggles to answer even the most basic yes or no questions. He tiptoes, he deflects, he tries to avoid accountability at all costs. And then, get this, the congressman presses him on his disgusting comparison of ICE to the Nazi Gestapo. Let me be clear, patriots, comparing ICE, the brave men and women who protect our borders and enforce our immigration laws, to the Gestapo, is not just wrong. It's offensive. It's a slap in the face to every ICE agent who puts their life on the line to keep our country safe. And yet, Walz refuses to apologize. He refuses to take responsibility for his words. What does that tell you about his character? About his priorities? Let me ask you something, folks. Why does the left hate ICE so much? Why do they want to abolish the very agency that's stopping human trafficking, drug smuggling, and gang violence? I'll tell you why. Because the Democrats don't care about border security. They don't care about the safety of American citizens. They care about pandering to their radical base and keeping the borders open so they can import more voters. That's the truth they don't want you to know. Then we get a Kamala Harris. Oh, Kamala, the so-called border czar. The congressman asks Walz to rate her performance on a scale of 1 to 10. And what does he do? He dodges the question. Because even Walz knows Kamala Harris has been an absolute disaster. She hasn't secured the border. She hasn't fixed the immigration crisis. She's done nothing but make speeches and laugh awkwardly while millions of illegals pour into our country. And here's the kicker. The congressman asked Walz if he ever discussed Joe Biden's cognitive decline with Kamala during their campaign. And what does Walz say? Not that I can recall. Are you kidding me? The man can't even admit what we all know to be true. Joe Biden is not fit to lead this country. And yet, the Democrats keep propping him up like a puppet. It's disgraceful. This part, patriots, is where I almost lost it. The congressman asked Walz if he's still friends with school shooters. Now, I don't know the full context of that question, but let me tell you what I do know. The Democrats have a track record of excusing bad behavior and blaming everyone but the criminal. They'll lecture law-abiding gun owners about gun control, but when it comes to holding actual criminals accountable, crickets. And then Walz tries to justify bullying. He says, and I quote, "I think it's okay to bully the bully at times." What kind of message is that? Bullying is bullying, plain and simple. But this is what the left does. They twist morality to fit their narrative. One set of rules for them, another set for the rest of us. And now we get to the moment that really sums up the insanity of the modern Democrat Party. The congressman asks Walz a simple question. What is a woman? And Walz can't answer. He stumbles, he mumbles, he deflects. Let me tell you something, patriots. A woman is an adult human female. Period. End of story. But the left doesn't want to acknowledge basic biology because they've bought into this radical gender ideology that's erasing women and destroying the foundations of our society. They don't respect women. They don't respect life. And they certainly don't respect the truth. So what do we learn from this hearing, folks? We learned that the Democrats are the party of open borders, anti-law enforcement, moral relativism, and gender confusion. They can't answer basic questions. They can't take responsibility for their actions. And they can't lead this country. Thank God we have leaders like Donald Trump and J.D. Vance fighting for the American people. But we can't take anything for granted. We need to stay engaged, stay informed, and stay in the fight. Because the future of our country depends on it. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with your fellow patriots. Let's keep the truth alive. This is American Mindset, and I'll see you next time.